thank you for stopping by my channel today and welcome back to this week's 2-minute talk. By the way, before I get started, I just want to give you a heads up that I just filmed the tutorial on this eye look as per your request, and that video will be going up in just a couple days, so stay tuned. I hope that you check it out. So today I want to talk about your beauty blender, and by beauty blender I mean generic makeup sponge, because it does not actually have to be a beauty blender, although I do think the beauty blender is the best beauty blender makeup application sponge that there is. It is quite pricey, and if you don't consistently use it, you can use, based on what I'm going to talk about today, you actually can use any form of less expensive makeup application sponge as well. Now I know that people really like the beauty blender, so I do not mean to insult your preference for a wet makeup applicator sponge. However, I don't particularly like it because my skin is oily to combination, and I'm so busy trying to mattify it that I don't want to add the additional moisture that the sponge brings to my face. Even though you're squeezing it out ridiculously and it's virtually almost dry, there is still water retained within this sponge, and I don't want that additional moisture sitting on the surface of my skin. Also, I need my foundation to do major work. I've got crappy skin and I need the coverage, and even adding just that little bit of hint of moisture to my foundation, I really feel like dilutes it a little bit and takes away from the coverage that I'm looking for. Also, quite frankly, I am always running late, and so I don't have the time to take the extra step to go to the sink, wet it down, squeeze it out, and then come back to my vanity. And so I would look at my beauty blender on my vanity and it would like wave at me every morning, be like, I'm right here, you keep ignoring me, you keep neglecting me. And it was sitting, I keep it in a little shot glass. I got this shot glass when I went to Hawaii on vacation with my husband. I put my little beauty blender in the shot glass and he sits there ever so cutely, and I was completely ignoring him. So there was one morning, and this is where I had to think outside the box, and this is where I wanted to pass this along to you guys. I actually found a use for the beauty blender dry. I know, right? Dry. Depending on the consistency and the formula of the foundation that you're using, and it actually can be a formula that's very thin, or it could be a formula that happens to be very thick and very high coverage. But sometimes, just for whatever reason, depending on the formula and maybe the brush that you're using, you cannot get rid of the streakies. You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes they show up on your cheeks. Personally, I always get the streakies on my nose. I don't know why, but it's very difficult to blend in the foundation on the contours of my particular very large nose. And sometimes when you keep moving the brush around trying to get rid of the streakies, you are only making it worse. And so I was kind of like frustrated and kind of looking around, and again, the beauty blender was in the corner of my vanity and it was kind of waving at me even though he was dry. And I'm like, you know what, screw it. So I picked up my beauty blender and I used it dry, and I was able to actually get rid of the foundation streakies. And so what I was doing was I was taking the dry beauty blender and I was just kind of blotting out around the streakies in the same way that you use it to apply your foundation when the sponge is wet. But I was using it dry post foundation, and it was seriously just immediately blending out that foundation right on the spot, getting rid of the streakies and making it look much more flawless. And I did not have to get up and go to the sink in order to wet it down. So I don't know, is there like a strike of lightning right now going on somewhere in the world because I decided to use my beauty blender dry? I have no idea, but you know what? It works for me. And if you sometimes get the streakies, I suggest you use a dry beauty blender, because that is the thing that I found solved all of my problems and gained me a little bit of time in the morning, because I was definitely doing much less blending with the brush. So anyway, thank you for spending this time with me. I so appreciate it. I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. I am Gina Creone everywhere, so please find me there. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, that would totally help out my channel and I would definitely appreciate it. Thanks again for spending this time with me. Have a really great rest of the week. Stay tuned for the tutorial on this eye look. I hope you have a really good rest of the day. In the meantime, thanks.
Okay, so John. Why am I talking so fast? Because I think I'm trying to get into the 2 minutes.